Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm sat down with a very good friend of mine, Nick, aka Zonna. Bro,
Yo.
please introduce yourself.
My name's Nick, Zonna, Everdusk, whatever you want to call me. I've known Tarun since school days, went to the same city for uni, so it's been a good while. We've known each other now, and nothing but love, always.
Of course, man, of course. Talk to us a little bit more about Everdusk, because it's a new venture that you've started and it's an exciting one.
It is, yeah. So I've always had a passion for videography, cinematics, that kind of thing. And a few of my friends and stuff have been heavily involved with videography. And it was something that I've always wanted to do, but never really kind of tried. I had a camera from early days, mostly for photography. So I kind of trained my eye, I guess, through that, just like purely out of, a hobby. And then in more recent times, I've literally just been using my phone and kind of just like filming more like cinematic content, mostly like nighttime city aesthetic type thing. And I've realised that I absolutely love it. I love getting into the kind of like more technical side of like colour grading and like that kind of thing, and just being creative in that sense as well. I feel like obviously music is a more audio based creative outlet, and then I kind of wanted to almost put the whole package together by doing video as well, especially for the kind of more like cinematic ambient music, that kind of thing. You've got that kind of like visual side to it. And yeah, it started out, I wanted to make like Spotify canvases and that kind of thing, maybe just like kind of short form, Instagram reel, TikTok type things. And then I saw the kind of potential to maybe make it something a bit more than that. So I've kind of recently been, just filming that kind of thing. I've had a few people kind of ask to make like music video, aesthetics, that kind of thing, all very like kind of early day stuff. But yeah, really, really enjoyed doing it. So yeah, it's been something that I've been doing a fair bit recently, I guess.
Sick, I like that. Well, it's hit a new milestone, hasn't it, as well?
Yeah, man, just clocked over 1K, yeah. So
it's big.
it's
quick
really nice
as well.
Yeah, it has. Like it's picked up, like as I guess it always does. Like, I feel like the first 1,000 is the hardest, because obviously you've got to like garner a fan base or like a kind of support out of nowhere with no like kind of nothing else to go off. Whereas like if you see an account sitting on like 20K plus whatever it might be, like it's easier to go, oh yeah, I'll drop a follow, because obviously all these other people have kind of validated it, I guess. But yeah. So yeah, it's great. It's really good fun. I've built like a little community all around the world, to be fair. Like I've got a really cool group of guys and girls who are just like, just based all around. Like it started with a few people that I kind of brought in that I thought were doing similar content to me, and now we've grown to kind of like 20, 30 people. And as I say, we've got people in like USA, Canada, Australia, all around Europe. I'm pretty sure we've got a couple in Asia as well. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, like all round really. So it's quite cool, just like connecting all these different people through a passion for it and supporting each other and seeing all the different like things people do. So yeah, I'm hoping it will lead to some really cool opportunities in the future as well. Like I've spoken to a few of them already, like hoping to go down to kind of Southeast Asia and maybe touch like Australia like early next year. So I'm hoping that I might be able to link up with one of them in Sydney when I go. So it's mad what it can lead to just from like, making a little group chat on Instagram. So yeah.
Well, it's definitely getting recognition as well, because I saw like last week, I think Adobe commented on one of the videos.
That was mad. I was completely shocked. Like I think I was sat on the toilet and I went on Instagram and I went on notifications and I was like, hang on a minute, I thought I was dreaming, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, hang on a sec, like something. But yeah, it's that's the beauty of like social media. You can really reach these people without almost even really trying, I guess. Like, it's pure luck that they must have just come across it. But it's great to see that accounts like that actually show love for smaller creators and people trying to make it and do whatever. So it's really cool.
You say it's luck, but I think as well it's work rate, because you've been consistent with it for months now.
I have been trying to kind of find the nice balance between like doing it every single day, which can be draining and almost like become really like laborious, and it starts to not feel like fun. But yeah, I've ultimately been quite consistent, to be fair. Yeah, as I say, because it's really short form content as well. I feel like it isn't too hard to, I guess, to keep up with it. You just have to kind of go out and film enough content to maybe cover yourself from a week or so, and then I edit for the next few days, that kind of thing. So it's been relatively, like, I wouldn't say easy, but it's been okay to maintain it, and as I say, I've tried to just keep it relatively consistent. So yeah, it's good fun. I'm really enjoying it at the moment. I'm going to try and keep it creative and fun and not let it get too like mechanical and like work rate vibes kind of thing too much. Just kind of enjoy it, post when I want to, that kind of thing. So I feel like you can very easily slip into the mindset of like, I have to post, people are waiting for content, they're going to unfollow me, like that kind of thing. And that has definitely happened. I'm sure you've been there as well. Like social media is a stressful thing, you feel like you've always got to be keeping up with it, or you're going to like kind of lose the hype or lose the interest. So Yeah, I've been trying to find a
How
balance.
do you find that balance, but like to, keep things fun? How do you do that?
I think the most important thing is like reminding yourself why you started doing it and not getting too caught up in like the numbers. I know that's a very common thing that people say, but it's so true. Like, it's so easy to get a bit kind of gassed or like overexcited by maybe a post that does really well, and then that's kind of like the new benchmark where it's like, oh, okay, this post hit 300 likes, so the next post should hit at least 300 likes, It's really not like that. Like, it's all up and down. Like, it's very rare that you'll just get like a steady trajectory of like growth. It will always have days where you'll have like a sudden post that might pop off and that might bring a load of new followers or new engagement, but then like you might have like 2 weeks of like completely terrible performance, And sometimes I feel like it's really random as well. Like, a post that I put together in like 10 minutes or less might do quite well, and then something that I've spent like half an hour, 2 hours on might just like get like 40 likes and just not be seen, which is, it's just how it is. And you got to try and like not get too attached to it. But obviously at the same time, you need to know what you're doing and kind of like understand the algorithm and engagement. So it's a tough game. But
that's the interesting thing though, isn't it, with being creative and putting your work out there. You just create the work, and then how people receive it is completely out of your control, isn't it?
For sure, it is. And like, I guess ultimately with art, that is how it is, like you leave it up to the interpretation of others, which is a tough thing. And I'm sure like, same with you, you've had like moments where you've had to be brave to actually put stuff out, especially with music where you're singing. Like, it's very much you and your piece and your mind, and everything going into it is coming from a deep place within you. So it is daunting. And like, I feel like once you get over the first hurdle of like doing it and people kind of know you do it, it's a bit easier to then, I guess, like really kind of get involved with the role of it and not worry too much, because at the start you've always got that apprehension of like, what are people going to think, like how is it going to be received, that kind of thing. But yeah, like it's all part of the fun, I guess, and it helps kind of develop your character and that kind of thing. So ultimately you just gotta bite the bullet, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, because you're right, it is, you being very vulnerable to put any type of art, whether it's music, videography, anything. It is tough. I mean, how did you find that at the start of your journey compared to now?
That's a really good question. Definitely felt, as I'm sure with you as well, it was really tough at the start, because you don't have any history of doing it, or people don't really know you do it, so it's a new thing. And I feel like it's quite easy to worry about the reaction you're going to get, people kind of talking about it, like, oh, this guy does this now, like that kind of thing. It can play on your mind, and like it can throw you off a bit. I feel like at the start I started my kind of journey, I guess, at uni, which I feel like you did as well, right? Like, I know you were involved with music before it, but I feel like ultimately you kind of put yourself out there for the first time. Or was it like second year uni, like first year uni?
Yeah. First, second year, for sure.
But yeah, it was tough. It was definitely tough. But as I say, like, I feel like once you get over that first hurdle, obviously it doesn't necessarily it's not plain sailing from there, but like, it's definitely easier once you kind of establish that you do it and people kind of know about it, and then you've kind of got through that initial bit. So yeah, I think it's been fun ultimately. Like, I've really enjoyed it. Definitely been tough initially, but yeah, like ultimately I'm at a point now where I'm just like, yeah, I just do it, like, love it or hate it.
It's normal now.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was probably more.
Yeah, it's like alien to people. Yeah. And obviously, like, especially like close friends and family and that kind of thing. You kind of have to. Yeah. It's you've just got to try your best to block out the other people. And obviously, if people are supporting, that's great. But you've got to not get too focused on like other people's validation or response to it, because that can obviously be a negative thing as well if people maybe start to not like it or whatever it might be. So. Thankfully, I think it's been really good overall, and I haven't really had to deal with much like negativity. But obviously, as things grow and stuff, you are bound to encounter that kind of thing, and it's just about, as I say, not letting it get too into the inner matrix, I guess, of your mind.
Yeah.
Which is tough at times, but yeah. So,
well, you referred to there. Obviously, we both kind of started our journey at university. I think. Being at uni definitely helps, because it's like everyone's so supportive and
100%. I was going to say that, which is right, because you started yours as well, and like I definitely think uni is the time to do it. I feel like a lot of people kind of obviously they're doing their course, degree, whatever, but at the same time it is the place where you kind of look inward a bit more and like finding yourself, like maybe hobbies or passions you have that you want to at least try and kind of do. And as you say, uni is the place, because you've got like this culture of like people your age all like trying to find themselves, find what they want to do. their like avenue in life, that kind of thing, try different things. It might be like a week-long hobby that they hate afterwards, or it might be, which I'm sure you've had, I've had loads of them. But then at the same time, yeah, like it might be the thing you actually really fall in love with. And as you say, I think, do you think that if you started what you're doing now, like post uni, do you think it would have been harder mentally / like physically, I guess, or like literally?
I think, when you start anything, you have to find it fun to really enjoy it and to want to improve and get better. I think being at uni, it is so fun. For me, it was doing shows. For you, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
There was so much positive energy surrounding what we were doing. I think now when we're out of that environment, you're able to kind of carry that into our day-to-day now, when it isn't as regular of a thing, but that feeling is still there.
100%. That's exactly what I would say as well. Like, yeah, you're right. You have that, like, you always have that to look back on, that memory. I remember you performing at what's the venue? I can't remember the venue, but it's Stu's days. What's the Players in Birmingham? Yeah. Like, I feel like you'll never forget what that felt like, and that's like, it was so sick having like just the whole crew there, like people supporting what you do, and like, I guess giving you a taste of what it would be like, like afterwards. And as you say, like you can always carry that around with you, even though things might be different now in terms of like what everyone else is up to.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, with what you do and your genre of music, how have you found the community, especially being at uni? Because I always felt like, you don't make only drum and bass music, but I think you started off making drum and bass music, and I think the community and culture around it is quite, it's quite wholesome. How did you find it starting out?
Well, yeah, as I say, obviously we're in Birmingham. Like Birmingham has, I think one of the best things about Birmingham is that it has a really good variety of music tastes and cultures. And yeah, drum and bass is a prominent one for sure. And it was always something that I was fond of. Like I listened to drum and bass before uni. I mixed mostly, actually weirdly, I mixed like a lot of not drum and bass, like a lot of like house and like UKG, that kind of thing. And then coming into uni, D&B was very heavy, and I very much fell in love with it, and like obviously went to a lot of the events, that kind of thing. I feel like the community around like drum and bass was great, so it was always like a natural thing where I was like, oh well, I love drum and bass, I go to drum and bass events, of course I'll make that. Whereas nowadays, obviously not being in Birmingham, it's a little bit less common that I'm going to the events, that kind of thing. I'm still very much fond of the music, love making it, love listening to it, but I feel like now my kind of overall like passion for music has broadened a lot. Also, especially working with obviously like producers and labels that I master for, being of all kinds of flavors, like really very much like away from drum and bass, like band music and like all types of dance music and like lo-fi and like blah blah blah. So like I feel like it opened my eyes a lot to the idea of producing different music as well, and also mixing different music. So it's been like refreshing to have a new variety of flavors to work with and that kind of thing. So I'm really enjoying that. But to answer your question, I guess like drum and bass was where it all started. And I have nothing against that, because I feel like it's quite a tough genre to produce. There's a lot of requirements to kind of get you in the door of like being a decent producer. So I like the fact that it was more of like a deep end kind of thing, like to start with.
But I'm not surprised you've gone into different avenues. I feel like if you're a creative person, you're naturally intrigued by new things and new kind of genres and sounds. And obviously with your Everdusk journey as well, it's just stepping into a completely new field, but you're not out of place there. I mean, how do you feel about that kind of just being creative? I mean, do you have a process of how to stay creative and how to like nurture that and kind of harness that? And there's certain things you do every day to push.
That's another really good question. I feel like that is like one of the most important things as a creative, is like finding ways to keep it fun and new. For me, I think like one of the most important things I've learned so far on the journey is like balance, like finding ways to keep it going but not feel completely obligated to always be doing it. Like I feel like this is a really random example, but like Adele's release structure with like her albums is very much like big work project goes out and then silence for like however long, might be a year, might be like multiple years, might be a few months, whatever. I feel like that opened my eyes a bit to the idea of like you don't always have to be on the like in the spotlight, like putting stuff out. Obviously that's on a massive scale, but like if you boil it down, like the idea is kind of the same of like, it's okay to have a bit of time away from it. And I found that like if you really do switch your mind off sometimes, when you come back, you feel so much more motivated, refreshed, inspired. And that goes for both like the video stuff and music. Like, I haven't actually produced music in like a month or two, but I now am at a point where I don't feel guilty about it, I guess. I'm not thinking like, oh, like I have to, because that's when it becomes like, it feels like a job, and it feels like, you know, and it is a job obviously, like, but it feels like it's kind of, yeah, like a requirement. So definitely like keeping it fresh, you know, like going out, still like having a bit of a social life and like spending time with maybe family, friends, that kind of thing, just keeping it fresh, like talking about new ideas, new things. And also like, I've recently found myself like finding passion again for things that I kind of used to and then like put aside for music. Like, for example, like playing a lot of chess at the moment. It's such a random one, but like great for like the mind. Like,
sick.
Love like doing daily puzzles, that kind of thing, which is so different for like creative, I guess. It's like really much like the opposite almost. But like, I think that's quite nice, like having a massive like variety going on in your life where you're not just like always trying to be creative, because I feel like it gets really exhausting, you get burnt out. Which I'm sure you probably had times where you feel like, have you had times where you feel like you're like completely rinsed of all your creativity kind of thing?
I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. I think what you're saying is so true. And yeah, I've definitely had it, to be fair, but I actually read a quote the other day, which I think you'll resonate with. I think it said, creativity and art is too important to take it seriously.
That's, yeah,
and it's so true.
I think I've heard that. I don't know, but that is a really good one. That is a really good one. It's, yeah, so true.
It is, right? Like, it's so important to kind of nurture your creativity and make sure that it's the kind of music or the kind of, you know, creativity you want to be putting out there. Why take it seriously and put kind of time pressures and limitations on yourself? It doesn't make any sense.
Definitely. And also, as you, like, going off that as well, like when I said about kind of being too sensitive to what people think of it, you have to find that balance of like acknowledging that you're putting out art, which is obviously like ultimately for the sake of people's reactions, and that might be a negative. So when you say about like not taking it too seriously, I think it's really important to consider that when you're actually like releasing or showcasing your stuff as well. But yeah, that's a really, really good quote, and that definitely that resonates a lot with me, because I've been through times where I've definitely been too focused on like the end result, and I'm not enjoying it anymore because I'm thinking, oh, I have to get this out by then, I have to have this done by then. And it's obviously important to have like goals and kind of like general ideas of when things need to be done and like getting stuff done, but then at the same time, yeah, just like not overdoing it and not kind of putting so much pressure on yourself that you lose the enjoyment or even just like lose the, I guess, the value in it. So that's a great quote.
No, it is, it resonates. It resonates. I think, you know, naturally we want to do well, so we kind of put pressures on ourselves, whether it's time or quality, to try and, you know, get the best quality out there, when in reality it's like, nah, you want to just kind of work on your own kind of process and what makes, you know, your work just flow better. And I think it's easier said than done. Obviously it's easy to sit here and say it, but to try and practice that every day when you are a creative person, it is tough, but I think that's the goal, right?
It is, and it takes time. And like, I remind myself I'm always like a work in progress, you know. Again, it's quite like a generic mindset, I guess, but it's so important to remember that like we're on a journey. It's not a case of like being absolutely, you know, spot on with everything you do all the time, because like I feel like, I'm sure you're the same, it's very easy to be very hard on yourself. And obviously like comparison being the thief of all joy, like if you compare yourself to people who might be a bit younger than you or a bit like, you know, something like that. I find like age is quite a big thing for me. I'm always like, oh, I'm getting older, I'm not getting any younger. Like, you know, I don't have time to mess about. I don't have time to do this. I should be here by this age. You know, like someone else this age is doing this well. So like, why am I not? You know, like, and it's just about reminding yourself that everyone's on their own journey. Everyone's lives are so different. You never know what's really going on. And like, yeah, I've been trying to remind myself that a lot recently, and just like enjoy the fact that I'm on my journey and not worry too much about like that kind of thing. And obviously celebrating milestones and just like being happy with how things are going, you know, and not being too hard on myself, which is really, I think, been one of the biggest challenges for me, is like, just because it almost like stops me feeling inspired if I'm like that hard on myself to the point where I'm like, my work's rubbish, like nothing I'm doing is actually good, like people are doing better than me, like that kind of thing, which is a big thing with social media, obviously, which is tough. But
of course, but I mean, you know, even when you compare yourself with others, you were saying it there, it's, you know, not you specifically, but anyone, I think it's impossible to really compare yourself with someone else, because the variables are different, like circumstances are different, your end goal is different. It's like actually impossible to compare two journeys.
100%.
Unless you're doing the exact same thing, you're the exact same. You know what I mean? It doesn't make.
That's the thing. All you're comparing is the tangible stuff that you can see, like the art or the creation. But you're not thinking about all the back end, like all the different things that affect their lives. They might have had like years of being like completely out of the game because of something you don't know of, health issues, that kind of thing. So like
exactly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's easy to do, but you've got to avoid it if possible.
100%. I mean, we briefly touched on it earlier, but we did go to school together. We weren't in the same year group. You were in the year below me. But how did you find it growing up around here, around kind of Berkshire, Reading kind of area? What was it like for you?
Yeah, like I live like in the middle of nowhere, so for me, like it was quite a nice like contrast. Like I've always lived in quite a quiet like village kind of vibe, so there's not a lot going on. It's not like the hustle and bustle of like a big city. So going to Birmingham was quite a big transition, I guess, for that, but I actually really enjoyed it. Like it took a little bit of adjusting, but yeah, to go back to the school days, like I really enjoyed it. Like it was quite nice having a change for college, like going to Bluecoat. Like I think it was a really needed switch up in my life. Like I was really enjoying my time at the previous school, but it got to a point where I felt like I just needed something new. I feel like that's quite a common theme in my life. Like I always find like need new things, like whatever. So I really cannot say a bad word about my experience at college, like or sixth form, like at Bluecoat. Like everyone was just so welcoming, like the whole community. Like, I feel like I got really lucky with my year group. Like everyone was just sound. Like I had no real issues at all with anyone. And yeah, like I didn't really get to, it's mad because I didn't really speak to you much at all. Like obviously you did art and I kind of saw you in the art department maybe once a week or something. But it would always just be kind of like a few words here and there. So it's quite mad to think like how things change like over time. And that's purely because of our choices of uni, I guess, really. I mean, you know, it might have been, I'm sure we probably would have come into contact at some point because of our like careers and passions, but yeah.
No,
I feel
of
like
course.
It's great that we did actually get to properly get to know each other at uni. So, but how about you? How did you find your like experience at school, and like how do you feel like it shaped you into who you are, like, or like what you want to do in life, kind of thing?
That's such an interesting question. I think school, you're so young, like you just kind of doing things and trying things. I think it's great for that purpose. You know, school is when I actually first got into music. So, you know, I think it was Miss Watmo who just said, you know, unless one of you can sing for me right now, I'm gonna kick you off.
That's such a cool moment.
Kick you out of the music activities group.
That would have been a big loss.
So weird though, right? Like you can't predict how it's gonna happen. It's just sliding doors. If that doesn't happen, what was that? Would have been like 7 years ago. 6-7 years ago. I'd never be doing this or here chatting to you. Do you know what I mean? So school, I think in that sense was so good in terms of just pushing you to do different things.
100%. I was going to say, actually I should have mentioned that, but you're absolutely right. Like just getting the opportunity to try loads of things is so important because you can just rule out the stuff you know you don't enjoy kind of quickly. And as you say, school is the place to do it. Like while you're young, you know, there's no reason why you can't while you're older. And I always say to my parents, like, it's never too late to like find a new hobby or a new passion or something that keeps you going. But like, as you say, at school, you know, you get all these opportunities to try things. And I was going to ask you about, so with that thing where you were told, like, if one of you doesn't sing, and I feel like it was only ever going to be you who was going to sing. Was that the first time you like sang in front of people that you weren't comfortable singing in front of?
Mate, like I never sang like at all. I just literally did a couple bits, but I think my boys knew that I sang a little bit. Just like, yeah, go on then, just do something, just to make sure that we can go to lunch early, to save the kind boys, of thing. So I had to save the boys, and I was like, yeah, cool.
It's kind of a moment where you're just like a make or break. Like you're kind of like forced into it, and also it's very like impulsive in the moment. So you probably don't even have time to like overthink it too much. You're like, oh, what if they think this or that, or like
literally, she was like, come into my room now. So
can you remember what you sang, or like what did you do?
It was definitely an Oasis song. Okay. I'm not sure which. It might have been Stand By Me. I feel like it was Stand By Me by Oasis.
Fair play.
And she was like, yeah, you're doing the end of year
school show.
Okay. And I was like, nah, like, obviously I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And she was like, nah, I'm going to make you. And I think that's what school and teachers, they see things in students that I didn't even know was there myself. It was just like, I'm just singing to try and make sure that we can stay.
You're just thinking like very much like in the moment, which you would in like, the moment. What's going on here, then you're not thinking about which is why I think that is a sign of a really good teacher. Like all my favourite teachers have been the teachers that have like said to my parents, I think Nick's going to be really good at that, or he should try this, and it's ended up being very much the case. And like I think that's really cool, like to know that you had a teacher that actually did back you and encourage you to do it. Because imagine if they'd been like, you know, oh, don't worry, like, or whatever, you know, I'm not saying you would never have
I probably wouldn't though.
But like it might have been, you know, the difference that might have kind of made you a little bit more confident, or a bit more like, yeah, actually it's okay to like sing in front of people. Because I actually, fun little side story, I actually did like a singing course, which I was very much not forced into, but like nearly forced into by I think my mum was mostly passionate about it, but I got put in this absolute madness of a situation when I was like, I don't even know, I'm guessing like maybe 12, I don't know, maybe a bit older. I was in a group where it was like 5 or 6 girls and me going to this woman's house who I went to this thing called School of the Arts, or SOTA, where I was like dancing, acting and singing, and I was very much there for the singing, for the dancing and the acting, not for the singing. I can sing, I can carry a tune, but like I'm not about to sing. Yeah, like my mum just kind of made me go to this thing with the person who ran that at her house. It was like a singing camp kind of thing. And I ended up having to sing Glad You Came by The Wanted, like, and she'd like record it onto a CD at the end of the week. And like, I remember the first time like in that room, like we had to like do like vocal warm-ups and stuff. I genuinely think that's don't know about, but definitely one of the most like nerve-wracking moments of my life. So I can imagine like for you, like, yeah, you're obviously now probably way more confident. You must be more confident, but like that definitely in the time like made me more confident. So I'm not like annoyed at my mum for it, if you know what I mean. Like she put me out of my comfort zone, and it's ended up paying off, because I feel like it paid dividends for my like confidence, I guess, ultimately. So it's mad how these things happen. But yeah, it was at the time I was not enjoying that at all. It was so overwhelming.
Have you still got the CD?
It's got to be somewhere. I don't know where.
Yeah, you're gonna have to find it, bro.
I was gonna unearth that.
It was my birthday last week, so I want that as a belated birthday present. I want access to that CD.
I'll fire over. I'll make a copy just for you.
Please.
It's not happening. You have to pay me big bucks, mate, for that one. But yeah, but it's somewhere.
Needs to hear that, bro. What have you got? So in the next few months, what you got coming up?
That's a great question. I've been really enjoying like mixing again, like as in DJing, I guess, not to be confused with mix downs, but like, yeah, I've just been really enjoying mixing music again. As I say, I did it before uni. It wasn't like a kind of, I guess, like a lot of people started mixing at uni, like little flat sessions, that kind of thing. So I was like, wanted to clarify that I was doing it before that, but no, yeah, I'm really enjoying mixing. So I feel like I've been looking to get more like live shows again, that kind of thing. I've been networking a little bit, like obviously with the mastering, I do speak to a lot of labels and producers. And I kind of thought like I really should be kind of making a bit more of an effort to get my name out there in terms of like playing shows. Obviously I had quite a decent experience with that in Birmingham, played some cool venues like Lab 11 and The Mill and that kind of thing, which have like great sound systems, really good like environment to play to, and like really well receiving crowd. So I'm looking to do a few more like live shows in London, that kind of thing, and maybe like elsewhere as well. Obviously like the scene for like kind of the kind of music I like is bustling mostly in like the big cities like Bristol, London, Manny, like that kind of thing. So hoping to spread my wings a bit with that, and then also just keeping up with obviously the mastering and Everdusk stuff. Like I really want to push that, hoping to invest in my first like kind of camera setup, and just make some more visual content as well, and kind of package it all together and maybe put out some music which has my visuals behind it as well.
Sick.
And just releasing music as Everdusk as well, like that has been something I've been I wouldn't say putting off, but I've been very much like delaying that, so that's something that I need to push. But what about yourself? What have you got planned? What's the kind of next few months looking like?
To be fair, bro, I'm not too sure. I think just go with the flow, innit? I think that's what I'm trying to do more. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do more.
Yeah, I respect it, man.
Bro, honestly, really appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a privilege to have you on. We've been meaning to do it for a while, so thank you, bro. Guys, stay tuned with what Nick's got coming up. A lot of exciting projects. But bro, thank you again. Guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.
Bless.